This is Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector News Podcast. And I have joining me again, John Passalacqua, the CEO of First Phosphate Corporation. Welcome back, John.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Great to be here.
No, we had done our original podcast with you back in July, and there's been some good, interesting news. But before we get into that, for those who had missed that particular podcast, let's start off with the overview of the company, what you do, and why you're doing it.
Yeah, so First Phosphate is a company that's fully dedicated to extracting and purifying phosphate for the creation of purified phosphoric acid that goes into creating a lithium iron phosphate cathode active material for the lithium iron phosphate battery.
And that battery is rapidly becoming the battery of choice for car manufacturers, correct?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Michael. It's becoming the battery of mass adoption. If you look back at the last 2 quarters of 2023, 66% of battery output from China right now is LFP based.
And the Americans want to get into that market. So let's fast forward to the interesting news that happened last week. You got a letter of interest from the Export-Import Bank of the United States, which is an arm of the U.S. federal government. Let's talk about what's in that letter and what it means.
Yeah, so basically, the Export-Import Bank of the United States is a lender that helps American companies export their products around the world. It would be similar to the Export Development Bank of Canada. So what this line of credit allows us to do is it allows us access to the purchase of U.S. goods and services that would go into developing and eventually also building out the mine, our purified phosphoric acid and LFP cathode active material facilities in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec. So it's quite a great catalyst. We're very thankful for it, and it really helps us to accelerate our project.
So why is the American bank funding a Canadian company?
Oh, okay. Well, obviously, First Phosphate is committed to North America. We're committed to, supplying everything that we need to build out the project in North America. And we're also committed to, providing out our products and services into North America. So obviously, there's a healthy relationship on that level. Also, we're based in the Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean area of Quebec, and there's traditionally about a 100-year really great example of cooperation between Canada and the U.S. in the aluminum industry. If you remember the old Alcan aluminum, which is now Rio Tinto, I mean that has been started about 100 years ago, and the involvement, in the cooperation between Canada and the U.S. has been fantastic. So, I think we're just parlaying on top of that success as well, to perhaps view Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean is also the LFP battery valley of North America, given the real rare phosphate rock that we have in our claims, and the ability to make a lot of purified phosphoric acid and eventually LFP cathode active material to basically supply all of North America, not just Canada and the US, with the LFP cathode active material that is needed to make these LFP batteries, and to be able to onshore and have resource independence and battery chain independence in North America.
That's good news. Now the Americans have arrived. What's the Canadian government doing for you folks?
Oh, well, our relationships are healthy with all levels of government, with Quebec government, because we're based in Quebec, Canadian government, and also U.S. government. I mean, the outreach to Exim Bank had actually been initiated through one of the entities in Quebec, Investissement Quebec, that introduced us to the group. So, there's a very friendly, amicable, and deep cooperation between Quebec government, Canadian government, and U.S. government, and it's just so refreshing to see.
Yeah. Now, on the surface, it looks strange that you're getting funded by both governments. Is there any conflict that's occurring there, or are the two governments funding you for different reasons?
Well, in fact, it's complementary, right? It takes a lot to stand up these projects. These projects are good, for Quebec, for Canada, for its allies, for the United States. And so, wherever governments can, cooperate together, I think it's a great thing. And I think we're just seeing really good cooperation here. I mean, this helps, U.S. exporters to export products and services. It helps us to, obtain those services in a non-dilutive way for our shareholders. The loan is backed by the U.S. government. It's got great terms associated with it. We're also part of a China Transitional Exports Program that gives us, some extra bonuses along the way in terms of, repayment, interest rates, and other incentives. But we still need obviously the support of Canadian government, Quebec government, and that's forthcoming as well. We're in deep discussions with many of the institutions in all three jurisdictions, being Quebec, Canada, and the U.S. And obviously all these discussions and programs, they take time to mature. And this was the first one that came to light, which was Exim Bank, and we're very thankful for all the cooperation we've received from all levels of government.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been good news. And I guess a lot of this cooperation is due to the movement in North America towards protecting our critical metals industry for North American industry.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to, stand up a supply chain from resources all the way to finished products. And it takes time, and it takes a lot of cooperation. It takes a lot of great companies. It takes a lot of great political leadership, a lot of great private sector leadership, and one day at a time. But definitely, we're heading in the right direction. I mean, we've talked the talk for a long time, but now with some of these developments that you see, like with First Phosphate, we're all starting to walk the walk, and it's great, and it's great to see North American entrepreneurship, North American political leadership working together towards these common aims.
Yeah. Now, this letter of interest that came from the Export-Import Bank of the United States, that has helped you not only de-risk the project to some degree, but also accelerated the timeline. Can you explain what is actually meant for the company in those areas?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest hurdles right now are, to get into production, to get a mine permitted, to get some other facilities permitted as well, the purified phosphoric acid facility and the LFP cathode active material facility. So now with the line from Exim Bank, we have access to services from U.S. suppliers that can help us towards that. For instance, engineering services, planning services, environmental services, drilling services, geological services that can really accelerate our process. And of course, like I said, it's non-dilutive capital, it's patient capital, it's friendly capital, it's non-predatory capital. It's backed by sovereign. It's backed by the good credit of the U.S. government. So you couldn't find any better in a partner and in a capital provider than U.S. government.
And looking forward, what's the plans for the company over the next several months? How are we going to keep this project moving forward?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been moving forward, quite rapidly. Michael, everyone tells us that. We finished a big cycle here, which was, obviously the drilling. We produced our PEA at La Coloriñal. We showed some very good numbers for a industrial mineral, $800 million NPV, IRR of 22%. We've done a lot of drilling at Bégin-La-Marche. We have to continue to drill at Bégin-La-Marche, as that property is 70 kilometers from the deep sea port and bodes extremely well. We have to choose the location where we're going to do the mine. That's got a lot of careful details got to go into that. We started our internal pre-feasibility studies. We started our environmental studies. As soon as we lock down here, in cooperation with the local municipalities, we are going to lock down on a mining area and a feasibility study. We've also done a lot of our advanced mineralogy and metallurgy with University of Queens, SGS laboratories. We've produced a pilot facility. We've shipped a large amount of concentrated phosphate rock to Prayon, our partners in Belgium, the world's largest producer of purified phosphoric acid. And they've run tests on it. They've come back conclusive. It seems that our rock is one of the purest they've ever seen. Creates a lot of merchant grade phosphoric acid and eventually purified phosphoric acid. So we're well down the line of our metallurgy and mineralogy, and we're able to get out some client samples now of purified phosphoric acid in the next few months. Which is remarkable for this stage of the company's development. So we'll continue along those lines. You'll see some of our purified phosphoric acid end up in some battery cells. You'll see us continue to work with our MOU partner, American Battery Factory, towards onshoring 40,000 tons of LFP cathode active material with them by 2026, 2028. You'll also see, new partnerships develop that we've been working on very, very diligently.
Yeah, this is a remarkable company on how fast things are moving on the ground going forward. I look forward to seeing how this progresses and over the next year, and you guys going into production sooner than later.
Yeah, we're very excited, Michael. It's just a great industry with some great traction, some great tailwinds behind it. We've got basically a secular trend that's coming at us. This is not like some other industries that have come and gone, but we know that there's 30, 40, 50 years behind electrification, and it's just wonderful just to be at the spearhead of the development of the post-industrial age here.
And if people want to get in touch with you and follow the company, how would they do so?
Yeah, so we're publicly traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange under ticker symbol PHOS, PHOS, like phosphate, Peter, Harry, Oscar, Sam. We're also traded on the Frankfurt Exchange as KD0, and we're also traded on the pink sheets in the US. Our website is at www.firstphosphate.com, firstphosphate.com. And people can also send us through any questions at firstphosphate.com. We try to keep the company very open, very accessible to shareholders, and we thank everybody for all of their support.
Wonderful. I look forward to our next chat and seeing where the company's gone. Thanks very much for your time, John.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Michael. Always a pleasure.
The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.